Well, hello, my friends. I've been a little sick lately, so I've not really been making videos, but I have been doing a lot of journaling, and I'm very excited to share with you today this journal that I finally finished. This has been a huge undertaking. I started this journal on December 14th, 2016, so it has been almost 4 years. And that's crazy to me. This is probably the largest chunk of time that one journal has ever encompassed, in part because this was a particularly thick journal, and also because a lot of things happened in these years and I didn't journal during those times. One of the best ways for me to feel my emotions is for me to write them out. And if I don't want to feel them, then I won't journal. So that's why there are large swaths of time in this journal where I just don't write. And then I come back and I'm like, oh, I haven't been writing and I haven't been feeling great. So I guess that's why. But I did some interesting things with this journal. It's a much more colorful journal. It involves a lot of collage and photos. It's really fun to look at. It's not just like me, writing what I did during the day or what I ate that day. And I changed a lot and grew a lot in the way that I journal throughout this particular journal. So I thought it'd be fun to share it and give you some, some tips for journaling if you want to get into it. Yeah, just thought it'd be kind of fun to do. So this thing is thick. Basically, at the start of 2020, I was kind of thinking that I wasn't going to finish this journal. Like, there was just no way. I probably wrote more in 2020. That's maybe even more than half of the entire journal is 2020. And it's not even the full hyphen. Do you need to be involved in this? I don't actually think so. Nope. So yeah, this thing, I really kind of turned around what I was doing in 2020 in terms of journaling. That was one of my goals for this year. Granted, if there hadn't been a pandemic, I maybe wouldn't have been able to accomplish it, but I'm proud that I've found a good journaling practice. So let's look at pre-2020. I started in December. So I had like a couple of things where I was mostly just like sad. This is when I started doing collage. So every year I've pasted some sort of positive quote before the year. There's 2020. Gosh, 2019 like barely exists in here. 2018. Okay, 2019. This is all I wrote. This is it in 2019. That was it. 2020, 2019. Holy cow. And then let's find 2018. I actually maybe didn't do one in 2018. Yeah, it goes December to March of 2018. So I didn't do one in 2018, but also I didn't write as much 2018 either. It was like 2017, 2018 and 2019 barely exist, and then 2020. This was also the year that I started using these like instant photos. For Christmas that year, I asked my family for an Instax camera. My idea was that I would take photos in the moment and then print them out and put them in here, which, as you can tell, I've really enjoyed being able to, do that. It's made things a lot more colorful. It's made me more likely to take photos. Problem with that is I had to specifically be like, let's take a photo with my camera, which was sort of annoying at different times. So this past year, I ended up getting an Instax mini printer. Now this prints it's like a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connection to your cell phone, and there's an app, and then you can send whatever photos that are on your phone to the printer and it will print them out on the same film, which was really nice because now whatever I buy I can use in either. I primarily use this though because I do take most photos on my phone. I basically have an album like in my Photos app where when things happen that I think are interesting or would be good photos, and then I'll go back and like print out all of those. So like a good example would be, yeah, like Valentine's Day of this year. These are some photos I took. You know, you probably saw them on Instagram actually, but I ended up printing them out with this and then putting it in here with like our ticket stub from the last movie we saw in a theater. I'm always taking photos of Finn because he's such a cutie. What I've generally tried to do is like save any sort of like stub things. You know, like this was a program from a film festival, the William & Mary Global Film Festival, that Eric and I went to back in January. And so I saved the program and then I like cut out the pieces from it. We went to see Knives Out, we saw Dvachka. This is like some of the speakers that day with my friend Alana, so I like saved her little blurb about the talk she was giving, and then like a photo that we took there. And then washi tape. I have lots of different like decorative washi tape. This is one of my favorite layouts from this summer because I kind of just like collected some photos over the summer and then gave like, you know, a little blurb about kind of what was happening. Or like, yeah, this was like a weekend with Eric where we went like hiking and we saw some goats at an orchard and Finn was being really cute. So yeah, like all these little like layouts I've been trying to do, like roundups of photos and stuff. So, retaking a class back in August where I got like an introduction to Sketchnotes, how to journal with Sketchnotes, which I appropriately did in my journal. It was done by @Cathy Hutchison. She's on Instagram. I highly recommend her. This was like the best kind of like virtual class, like creativity class I've taken really all year. This was a really interesting class because pretty much the rest of this journal, what I started doing was like, I started using these banners. She showed us how to make like super easy banners. She talked about using black pen. She writes the entire journal in black pen. I can't do that. Like the main sort of writing I always do in pencil because I want to be able to erase. I misspell things a lot and want to be able to go back and fix them. I started like titling the tops and I would do that in pen. And I also started doing this like pretty dates for it versus like in the past I would just do, you know, basic date small up in the corner. It did what I needed it to do. But then after this, I started doing these like, you know, the big number, and I really like them. And so I'll use pen for certain things, but not everything. And then we also talked about like using visuals and, you know, just like kind of little sketchy things to symbolize stuff. And also using these star people for human figures versus like a stick figure. You can kind of show a little bit more personality, and then you add a little bit of color on the edges to just give it a little bit of pop. But yeah, so after that point, I really upped my game. So, you know, I started adding in little illustrations because, you know, I was feeling pretty exhausted at this point. So I'm like, help, a little person on a boat out to sea in the middle of a storm. This was something my friend Alana had suggested doing like a weekly top 5 kind of thing. So I ended up taking that and using it in my journal too. So every week on like Sunday night or Monday morning, I will create a page where I talk about what I've watched, what I've read, and then here I filmed and did a bunch of video stuff that week. So it was pretty much just creating, but like, where's a good example of later? You could maybe go to this past week. So this is kind of the new layout where I do reading, watching. I watched a lot of stuff this week. And then I'll do like highlights with little icons. So like I spent Halloween with Eric. I finally got some like work thing finished. I did a lot of coloring. We got like tacos and margaritas, but then I also started feeling sick at the end of the week, which was bad and no fun. But, you know, trying to like get it all in here, and as I'm flipping through, I can kind of like easily see what happened, and it's just like fun to look at. The other big change is that I've started like journaling almost every day, but it's not as important for me to journal every day as it is to journal most days and just like be inspired to journal about something. So I've started doing like a monthly layout, illustrating the month in some way. So like October, I've got these like fun little pink skulls. And then going online, I have like a Pinterest board where I save various journal prompts. And most of them are like self-reflection prompts, which I feel like are good for journaling because that's essentially what I do. The reason there are like such large swaths of time where I don't journal is because I would get into this place where I'm like, all I can think about is, say, the sad stuff. but I don't necessarily want to talk about or write about the sad stuff, so then I just like wouldn't journal. The cool thing about this is like, you know, some of them are, how are you feeling today? But a lot of them are also, describe a typical Saturday for you and your family. So like, what did I do? For this one, I ended up just like making a list. Everything that I typically do on a Saturday, which is mostly like hanging out. I usually like will bake or cook something yummy for breakfast on Saturday, or brunch. It's brunch because I sleep in. You know, I'll usually play a video game. Like I might film a video if I'm feeling energetic enough, and basically just getting kitty cuddles, having fun, going to bed later than I should. So there's lots of things like that, you know, really, they're cool, they're fun, they get me thinking, and they inspire me to journal. Probably one of my favorite ones I did, a prompt was, what were your favorite childhood books? And instead of, you know, just like listing them, I ended up like making this sort of drawing of them. So like it's all listed here, but you know, it's much like prettier to look at than like just a page of text. This is one of my favorite ones too. I went to Surf City, took some photos with my parents, and you know, like it's just fun to like create layouts like this. It would be a thing where I was like stressed about it, but now I like get excited. I essentially like, when I know I'm gonna have some free time, then I collect some photos and like try to imagine like what a layout could look like. And you know, I save like that page in here and then make it. Well, that I think does it for the journal. This has been really fun. I'm glad that at least in this crazy year, one thing on my, you know, stuff I wanted to accomplish in 2020, actually, I accomplished it, which it's more than just like finishing this journal, but it's that I am excited to journal pretty much every day. It's not a like, maybe I should do that. It's a, oh yeah, I wonder what my prompt is for today. Or, you know, ooh, there's some really cool photos I have on my phone. I need to print them out and like make a little art collage. It's pretty much a way for me to be creative in like a small way. I don't necessarily have enough time to be doing like giant crafts all the time, which is what I wish I could do. But this is a way where I feel like crafty and artistic. And if I'm looking at it every day to write in it, I'm also like seeing what I've done in the past, which is continuing to inspire me. So heck yeah for journaling. Hope you guys are hanging in there. I know I'm barely hanging on by a thread sometimes. We're gonna make it. Hopefully. If this was fun for you and you like me talking about journaling, or you want me to talk about anything, please let me know down in the comments, or you can always fill out that form on my website. Plus remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know the moment there's a new video. And as always, you can check me out over on Instagram for all the rest of your Caitlin creative content. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.